Okay, we're about to start this tankless unit up for the first time. So I had it set up for an easy link between the two, but because I don't have this one vented, I've unplugged the cable going to the parent, since this is the parent, and I changed the dip switch back so that this should just think that it's all by itself. And actually what I'm probably going to do for now as well is just shut these off. Take them right out of the system. So we'll turn the gas on. Okay, and I did purge those gas valves when I installed them all the way up to here. So we have gas. Turn the power on. Okay, we have 000. Is that? There we go. It is standing by at 120 degrees. Okay, we'll set it to 140. Okay. Now, I want to shut these off to take my Bosch out of the system, and I want to turn these on. So now it's just as if it's running. I have the condensate temporarily going to there. This thing is making noises. I don't know what it's doing or if that's normal. But, tempted to fire it up here. So why don't I put the cover on? Because I don't know if shouldn't mess with it, but I'm gonna throw the cover on and then I'll turn the camera back on before I turn on any pumps. Okay, as promised, I'm about to turn one of these pumps on to get some flow here. And we're going to see what happens. So at least if something explodes and the whole thing melts and burns the house down, at least I've got record of it on camera, I guess. But I think what I'm going to start with is I'm going to turn the tank pump on and I'm going to let it start circulating the tank. And I want to see what the flow is, and I want to see this tank start to rise in temperature. So unit set to 140. I believe I have this aquastat set to 125. We can check it. But let's turn it on. Okay, it'll take a second for that aquastat to come on. Okay, it's pumping. Oh, it just fired. I heard it. $60 coming in. Getting about 4.2 GPMs with one Takeo 0013. Our hot water going out into the tank. We still have 62 degree water coming in. What's interesting is we still have 50 psi. This is on the outward. That's on the outward side of the unit. So look at that. We're already coming in from the tank. We're already up 12 degrees, and I don't even think it's been a minute. Oh, okay. Tank just hit 70, which I did not want. So we're going to fire it back up. It's ramping back up. Seems to be about 4.2 with just that one pump. So I'm kind of curious what it'll do with this pump running. 75. The tank is already reading 80, and that's on the aquastat in here. Ooh, that's nice and hot, man. Wow. And this is warm down here. Man. Reading about 135. 40. Man, there's a little bit of a low vibration on this thing. I don't know if you can hear that. Man, it's getting loud. It's interesting. Okay, how are we doing for pressure? We're looking good on pressure. The only thing that concerns me a little bit is how loud this is getting. She's got a low hum. We're already up to almost 100 coming in. Okay, now that noise is almost completely gone. Interesting. It almost sounds like the fan inside here is modulating down, which makes sense because it doesn't have to heat the water up as much. Oh yeah, nice and hot going in there. 135. So now once the incoming water temperature gets up to 130, this will shut off. According to the service manual, it can't modulate that low. So that's why I have this set to 125, hoping that in 20 more degrees the tank's going to be satisfied and it should shut off before this ever sees 130. It's pretty interesting though that the incoming temperature on here is almost identical to what that tank is reading. It's pretty cool. 141. This seems a little, this gauge seems a little off. Might be off by 5 degrees. I trust this. I've noticed these gauges are all different down here when they're all the pressure I get, because depending on where they are, you know, the pressure might be although that's interesting, this one reads about 107 and that would be the water going through the heat exchanger and coming in. 111 there. Yeah, we're creeping up. 112. Wow, this is awesome. So cool. So it's circulating that tank right now. The kids upstairs are making noise and like dropping little marbles and stuff on the floor, and I'm freaking out as to every little thing I hear. I'm thinking it's some copper fitting that's letting loose or something crazy. You know what's funny is this pump, I believe, has gotten a little quieter. I mean, you can still hear it. But that's not too bad. It's not obnoxious. So what are we at here? 116. 116. Man, I'm pretty happy with that aquastat in there. That's pretty accurate. Uh-oh, just did something. It almost sounds like it turned off or something, like it... No, didn't turn off. The fan, something happened with the fan. It changed. Maybe it's modulated down to its lowest. Still at 4.3 GPMs. You can't beat that for one Takeo. So cool. Okay, we should be getting close here. Man, sure didn't take long. I mean, it took maybe what? I can probably time it on the camera. It's taken 5 minutes, I'm guessing, to bring that tank from 60 to 125, minus our little hiccup there where the aquastat was set by default to 70. I mean, that's pretty good. That tells me that thing's gonna recover that tank in no time during normal use. So I might want to bump that differential up, maybe let this get down to say 120 and bring it up 5 degrees so it at least runs for a little bit. I mean, it's not going to run at all. We're almost there. Everything is working exactly like I have planned it. So cool. Now the interesting thing, because I have 2 units and I'm over, I think 3.5, 3.7 GPM, I'd have to look at the manual. Both of these will fire and they will both modulate low. So this will almost be split to 2.1 in between them until the temperature gets so warm that there's not enough to meet the minimum firing, which is 15,000 BTU for this one. Then it'll turn off and let this one handle everything, which I'm guessing right now it's got to be pretty close to... Oh, okay. We're at 125. All right, I'm going to set that to a 5 degree differential. So I'm going to, when that lowers to 120, when this tank goes down to 120, that should refire. How's the vent? Oh man, it's not even warm at all. I should go outside and see I should have gone out and seen what it looked like with it running on the outside of the house. Okay. Wow. The tank is still rising. Okay, let's try the recirc. Let's unplug my current tankless. Let's plug in this recirculation pump. We got all the valves open, so let's let it recirc hot water back to the tank. See if this works. Okay, here we go. Now, we should start to see these gauges move, which they are. When we're already at 115. 120. Wow. Now, I don't have that aquastat hooked up yet. I'm going to do that immediately. But this is so cool. So right now, we have hot water right up to this point. Oh, and it's hot. Oh, it's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna shut it off. So we just recirced. So I have instant hot water now up to this point. So as soon as my wife or kids or somebody upstairs turns on hot water, they're gonna get it. And we didn't even lower the tank by 1 degree. We're still at 127. Man, this tank is cold to the touch. That's awesome insulation right there. So we just recirced that tank. Didn't even change this. Tankless units didn't even fire. I'm tempted to recirc the furnace right now. Get hot water moving through that. This is like months of planning, research, emailing. Oh, you know, Jeff, if you're watching this, man, thank you. This is cool. So now, just for fun, well, I wonder how that's gonna work. I kind of want to turn that pump on and see what kind of GPM I get. But man, I think it's gonna circulate and then it's gonna turn off. I mean, I don't think it's gonna run very long at all, because it's gonna turn off on limit. Like it's gonna be too hot. Should we try it? I think we should try it. All right, let's do it. Let's see what we got for flow when it comes on. Okay, so one Takeo is giving me about 4.3. But see, we're already so warm coming in. Wow. Oh yeah, I mean, let's see what happens. I bet it turns off at 130. So it's just circulating the primary loop right now. Oh, so it didn't turn off, but I bet the flame shut off. Interesting. Yep, now it's coming on. So that flame it's hovering right at that point. Interesting. And that restrictor in there has got to be wide open. So 4.3 is about what I can get. Now, I do have to adjust that. Okay, so I'm at 120 on that hot water. I do have to adjust that mixing valve. So let me shut this off and go warn my wife, because she's used to 104. And if she starts getting these kids in, it's going to be 120. She's going to have to mix it with some cold. So I'll be back. Okay, so pretty cool. We did a little test upstairs in our bathroom on the second floor. Normally up there with that Bosch tankless, You turn on the hot water, it would take a minute, almost 60 seconds for that hot water, for this thing to fire up and then get all the way up there. We set a stopwatch and we turn the hot water on, and it hasn't been on all day up there. It took 9 seconds for me to get hot water in my bathroom upstairs. So basically it only had to go from there and up. Now right now I have the hot water on in my first floor bathroom, and as you can see, you know, the tank is slowly dropping, but what I want to check is that it's not getting any hotter than 120, which it is a little bit. So what I want to do is I'm gonna put a screwdriver in this mixing valve back here and open it up. I just want to pull it out a little bit. I'm just going to turn it to the cold side just a little bit. Maybe just a little bit more. Yeah, it's probably going to take a little bit to cool down that, but I just did it another little quarter turn and I'm going to leave it at that. Because I mean, we're pretty close, so you know, the pipe and the gauge and everything's already heated up, so it's not like it's going to cool off right away. So I'm going to go turn that water off, although it is already gone down right about to 120. So I'm going to go turn that water off, but now I know at least the kids aren't going to get scalded. I've got that valve set right and it's working. It's taking cold like it should from the cold side, and it's working. So wow, so impressive, so cool how fast that was to get hot water. Okay, be right back. Okay, turn the water off, and now it is cycling, because me running the water brought the tank down to below 120. Right as I was walking up there, I heard it kick on. So I shut it off at the sink, and that was probably 2 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago. I ran outside and looked at the vent out there. Pretty cool to see that. I mean, my old Bosch kind of just blew all over the house. I think I showed that in another video. This one pushes right out away from the house. It's really quiet, and there was condensation dripping out of it, which is good or bad. I mean, I don't know if that's gonna freeze. Oh, okay, there we go, back at 125, and the unit's off, no flow. So with a 5-degree differential, it took maybe 3 minutes. What I'll have to do as the more and more I play with this, definitely over the weekend, I'll have to time it, and I'll have to find that sweet spot. You can see it's 126. It's actually still warming up, but I'll have to find that sweet spot to what is a good burn time for this. You know, 3 minutes might be a little too long every time. Maybe I take that down to a 4-degree or a 3-degree differential. I wonder how, that's another thing I'll have to time. How long does it take this tank with no hot water draw to lose 5 or 6 degrees? It's at 126 right now. So I wonder if this thing will stay like this most of the day. Interesting. Super happy. I think next what I'm going to do, I'm going to hook up that aquastat. I'm going to wire it into that pump and then wire it into that smart switch. Right now it's plugged in directly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this wire, go into this, wire it up, and then have the plug go into this too. It'll still go into this smart switch. So then, although it seems like these aquastats lose, I should have probably looked into that. It seems like these aquastats are losing their setting when they're turned off. So if it defaults back to 70 degrees every time it restarts, I don't know, maybe I didn't have that other one set. I thought I did, but that would suck because I was planning at night between, like, I don't know, 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. to not have the circulator pump even on because we don't need it. But if every time I turn it off, then maybe I just leave it on. I mean, if I insulate these pipes, I don't know. I mean, that's down to 110 from 120, so that's lost 10 degrees just sitting here in the past 5 or 10 minutes. So yeah, you know, I could see that pump coming on and running, because I would probably set that aquastat over there to maybe 110. I mean, I don't want it at well, I could probably set it at 120, but I don't want it too high to where it can't reach its set point, because it can't get enough from the tank. The tank's up to 127. It's amazing. It's, you know, it gains heat just sitting here from that heat coming in. So cool. Wow, this has actually been, there's hot water in here. So when that pump's on, it must be pulling. It must be pulling from these recirc loops anyway. I mean, which really, well, I guess it could. I guess it could. Although I don't know how it's flowing if it's furnace. Oh yeah, that has hot water in it. Oh yeah, that pipe is warm, and I haven't even turned that furnace pump on yet. That pipe is warm, so it must be ghost flowing or something somehow. Just want to make sure it's not leaking as things expand. Man, that's so cool though, because it is. We've had the heat on, the forced air heat on here for a month now. You know, we're into mid-November here, mid to late November here in Buffalo, and it's been cold, so it's starting to get dry in the house, and it's going to be so nice to have this humidifier on. And with the Ecobee system I have, where there's remote sensors in all the rooms, pretty sure they sense humidity. I'm not 100%. I know the main unit does. I think the remote sensors do too, but you know, it'll be nice to have that Ecobee controlling the humidity. And I do believe they do base it on outdoor temperature based on your local weather. So if, you know, the colder it gets, the less humidity you want in the house. So I do believe there's a feature on there where you can turn that on so that you don't have condensation on the windows. And so, but I need to fix this ball valve, and I need to get this plumbed in properly. I got my supply house order today with my new valve, and I bought a 1/2-inch PEX to 3/4-inch fitting to go in here, so I can actually hard plumb this in. then I can flush it, purge it, whatever I need with just turning that valve on. It'll go right down in. But man, it's going to be so nice to have this. Be able to just pull hot water, nice hot water right here, I mean 6 inches away. And it'll really make the house more comfortable. And nothing's leaking. So cool. Okay, it's been probably 5 minutes since I've been down here gabbing. We're still at 127. This tank hasn't lost anything. Wow. Really anxious to get working on the heating side now. And this weekend, I can pull that old tankless out. I can get this other unit vented in, get them both on, play with that. Man, so now I'm wondering if 4.3 is the most flow I can get through one. At those high of temps, that restrictor valve has got to be wide open. I can't see it restricting the water down at 120 degrees inlet. I mean, it's with 140 degrees, it's only a 20 degree delta T. I mean, there should be flow. So I'm thinking it's a limitation of the pump. The 4.3 is a limitation of the pump. But I'm curious when you split that, because what these two will do when they talk is it'll split it. It'll restrict the valve down to allow even flow through both, and they're piped exactly equally with reverse return. So it should allow this same exact amount of water to flow through each unit. I wonder if that's going to hurt it or if that's going to help it. I wonder if I'll get exactly like 2.1, 2.2 between each unit. Be really cool, because man, then the adjustability when that Snowmelt is on and that Snowmelt water is coming back at 30 degrees, it's gonna hopefully these things, I'm hoping that 100 plate heat exchanger, which is huge, will steal as every BTU off that primary loop. And then in my perfect scenario, the water will be entering up there at 140, and when it's that cold with that Snowmelt, it'll be coming out down there at 40 degrees, taking 100 degrees off of it. I mean, that would be awesome. And then at 40 degrees, now you're talking 100 degree delta T. If you had one unit, if you look at the charts with 100 degree delta T, it would restrict this thing down to, I don't know, if I had to guess, 1-2 gallons a minute tops. That's it. And that's not a limitation of the pump. That's the heater. It can't heat the water that fast, so it's slowing it down. But with 2 of them, you get 2 through each. So I could probably still pull 4 gallons a minute easily, even with 100 degree delta T. And I've done all the math on this. I have the spreadsheets. Maybe I'll throw them up into the video, and maybe I'll do another video just on all of that. But I think it's going to work great. So yeah, we will see. But for now, I'm going to leave this on, and I'm going to leave that off, and let's just see how it goes. I do want to get that recirc wired in, but even then, I mean, the only benefit to that is it's less waiting time upstairs. So if I don't get that done tonight, if I don't get that wired in tonight, it's not the end of the world. It might just take a little bit longer when you turn on the hot water for it to get from the tank to there. Instead of 9 seconds, it might be the original that we're used to, 30, 40 a minute. We're used to it. The thing we do have to get used to is we would always set that at 104. Or in the winter, we'd turn it up a little bit. And then on our fixtures, in the shower, we turn it all the way over to hot and turn it on. Because you never knew when you were turning that cold down, you'd get to a point where you'd be below the minimum flow rate to fire that on. So you'd be in the middle of your shower and if we left that at 120, 120 is too hot to stand there under the shower, at least for us. Some people maybe, but for us that's hot. So you'd want to mix it down. But eventually you'd mix it down to a point where this thing would turn off. And you don't notice it right away because you're using up all the hot water in those pipes. And all of a sudden in the middle of your shower, boom, you go cold. And you're like, crap, and you reach down and turn it all the way to hot to get it on again. Well, it takes, again, like I said, 60 seconds for this thing to, realize there's flow, turn on, purge the line. So we ended up over all these years just setting that to what we want, 105 degrees, and just turning it all the way to hot and turn it on. And if in the winter we feel it's a little bit cold, I come down here and I bump it up to 106 or 108. But what we need to get used to and what we need to get the kids used to now is that, when you turn the hot on all the way, you're going to get 120 degrees set by that mixing valve. Now, it's only 120. It won't scald them. So we're okay. But I was just up there teaching them, you got to mix a little bit of cold in. Which for our kitchen faucet's one of the ones where it's one valve. So you can put it in the middle. Same with the showers. The sinks do have two, so you got to turn on both handles. But, the ones with one valve are nice. You put it right in the middle. You find that sweet spot. You don't have to worry. Before, we would always worry about turning it down too much and turning this off, and then you don't have hot water. So anyway, I'm just rambling now, but what did I just take up? Another 5 minutes? We're still at 127 on that tank. Huh. Wow. Cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.